You're listening to Adesope Live, the Afrobeats Podcast.
Busi, listen, thank you very much for your time. How are you doing today? How are you feeling? How's the Friday like for you?
I'm feeling ecstatic. You know, the weirdest thing just happened yesterday. I got on some MTV-based hottest rappers list, and my Twitter's been going crazy today. But I'm just trying, but this is like every Friday when new music has dropped, new videos are coming out.
Yeah.
It's the end of the year, so we're all trying to get everything in. So I'm having one of those Fridays where I'm just like trying to push my new music, but also trying to get like a conversation going that is positive all the time.
Absolutely. You mentioned being named amongst the best rappers. You're a poet, though. So you're a poet,
Yeah, that's what I do. So everybody has this debate about, are you a rapper? Is she a rapper? What hip hop songs has she done? What is rap? So it's interesting. It's interesting and cool. And I'm just, I'm just trying to play it cool because sometimes I've never called myself a rapper and I've never wanted to. But sometimes people are there saying, look, this is what it is. We're giving you that, and that's how it's going to be. It's as long as it's positivity, it's fine.
Absolutely. It's spoken word. Rap music is spoken word on beats, and that's what you do. You do that incredibly well. So
thank you.
You have to take that as part of it, man. Let's talk a little bit about Busi. Talk to me about your background. A little bit. Of course, I mentioned that you're from South Africa. Where in South Africa were you born and raised? And what was that, that young Busiswa like? What was it like growing up where you were born and raised?
I was born in the Eastern Cape province of the Eastern Cape of South Africa, and I'm Xhosa. So I speak Xhosa. That's my vernacular language. That's the language I do most of my songs in. And I was raised by my grandma and my mother. So they were matriarchs. They were strong women, intelligent women, confident women, funny women. I always say to people, my mother was a prankster. So it was like a laughing household. Like we would crack jokes all the time, whether things were good or bad. And even though we were trying to make things work all the time, but it was all fun and games. And I enjoyed my life immensely because of those two people in particular, but also a lot of the women who surrounded me growing up.
South Africa, has an incredible history, particularly one in recent memory with regards to apartheid, with regards to the icon in the late leader Mandela. But it also, I wanted to know for South Africans, for someone like you growing up in a South Africa that's now starting to become the dream that a Mandela wanted it to be like. What were the stories you heard growing up about how difficult it was? And what is your experience now of a new South Africa emerging?
So to tell you an interesting story, Nelson Mandela's home, where he was born, is also around the same area where I was born. And so growing up, every Christmas, he would do a Christmas party where he would come back to his home village of Qunu in the same province, and he would throw a Christmas party for all the kids and give out gifts and food and, supplies for the families in the village. And so I was inspired by him in a very direct kind of way, because we would wake up every morning on Christmas Day or like 2 days before Christmas or something and travel to his homestead and just receive gifts and food. I remember the first time Oprah came to South Africa, Mandela had brought him to that same village, and I saw Lady Smith Black Mambazo performing for the first time live. Those are Grammy winners now.
Absolutely.
And so for me, the connection with Nelson Mandela was not just about knowing the icon that he is and the sacrifices he has made, but I was inspired in the sense that this man will come back here and still throw a party for us and still try to inspire us and motivate us in a very direct kind of way, by making connections directly with the people from his village and the children, especially in his village. And he really made me feel like anything is possible and you can achieve anything, you know. I remember when we were growing up, we would say Nelson Mandela is the only guy from South Africa that even if you mention him in China, people will know who he is.
Absolutely.
And that guy came from the same area as me. And so that had a beautiful impact. I read as much about him as I could. I found biographies. I've tried to find as much information about him to try and understand what is it that made him believe in himself so much, coming from the place where he came from. And later on in life, you know, experiencing now as a bystander, his passing, his illness, his presidency, and then his illness, and then his passing, it has made it very important for me to engage, you know, politically, to engage with my community, to go to my community and to visit and to constantly be aware that there are ways that I can inspire my community. There are ways that I can inspire the children in my community. There are ways that are direct. I can inspire the people who grew up where I grew up, who were born where I was born. And no matter how far I go out into the world, I'm always able to go back and touch their lives directly like that. And that's something that I don't take for granted. And at the same time, I try to engage in conversations around how we can make life better for Black youth. And also, I'm also, you know, questioning as I grow older, how I can become a leader that pushes my country forward. What is it that I can do? What is it that I can say? How can I motivate? How can I inspire? How can I make young kids watching me go, well, if she can achieve that, then, you know, and that is really directly the kind of inspiration that I received from someone like Nelson Mandela.
That's amazing. That's incredible to hear you talk about that. I know you mentioned being brought up by your late mother and grandmother. You mentioned the mixture of, you know, a prankster, a joker, you know, an intelligent person, matriarchs. Meeting you and listening to your music, I see all those mixtures in you. The fun. Yeah,
and that touches my heart so much, man, because I think I'm like an exact replica of my mother and my grandmother, and God rest their souls, they've both passed on. But I have moments myself where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm my mother. Oh my gosh, I'm my grandmother. I am them.
Absolutely. I remember when we met in Ghana, before I met you, Becca had called me to come over and said, you know, Busiswa is in town shooting a video. And I'm like, wow, she came to, and he said, you know, Becca, her husband told me at the time that you had been one of the easiest people to work with. You came on set, it was hot, it was sweaty. You were uplifting the spirits of the people that were shooting the video. And it made life easier for them. You know, what are your thoughts about people saying those type of things about you in terms of the kind of energy you bring to certain situations, even though you're a superstar celebrity?
Well, I wake up every day, first of all, and I'm like, oh, thank God, this is my life. You know, I am in Ghana, surrounded by all these beautiful men, and I get to just go on set and have fun. That's literally what it's like for me. It's like every day is a blessing. And so I try to, every time I interact with people, just be a blessing as well. Actually, my name means be blessed, by the way. So
wow.
So I'm constantly like saying that to myself, and I know that sometimes I'll meet someone and I'm in a bad mood, or I don't want to take a picture, or, you know, I'm just tired or something like that. That happens as well. But every day when I wake up, I'm constantly trying to say, what can I do that is positive? What can I say to someone to uplift them and inspire them? What can I share? How do people feel after I've left them? Because I'm very conscious of that. Like, if I meet you, for example, I'll never forget how you make me feel. And so my goal is always to make people feel better than before they met me, even if I'm not in a good space. I just try to make things work all the time. I was excited to work with Becca, and so, you know, even the video, I wanted to make sure that we come through strong. You know, we come through popping. You know, the queen's gotta hold it down. You know,
absolutely.
So, that helps also when you're excited to work with a particular artist, and it helps you to also stay positive. But I must say, I think around that time, we had shot my Power video with Beyoncé. And I saw Beyoncé directing a music video where she was so gracious, so respectful, so uplifting, so motivating to everyone. And I was like, man, this is the queen I'm trying to become, you know? This is the kind of person I want to be. I want to be holding up space in a room where I'm leading sometimes more than 100 people, and all of them feel respected and acknowledged and seen. And that's how she made me feel. And so I want to just make other people feel like that when I work with them. So even when I collaborate with people like Peto Ranking, it was incredible because he also has that same positive energy and attitude and vibe. It's like, you know, when you meet like-minded spirits like that,
absolutely,
you can't be mad. It's like, okay, it's hot, but we're in Africa, you know, what else?
Let's go.
You can't be mad at that. I think the same thing when I worked with DJ Tunes. We recorded in New York, and we recorded so many songs. We wanted to do an EP at some point, you know? And so I can't make people feel small or feel bad, because I know that I've come from far, and I know that every day of my life is a blessing. Every day that I'm able to do what I love and share that with the world. And then I get to meet other artists who actually appreciate me. What more can I ask? What is there to be mad about, you know?
Yeah, you mentioned briefly, you know, walking in the same room and working around the iconic musician Beyoncé like it was nothing. You know, listen. This is a woman that people make music with, and that music never gets to see the light of day. They shoot videos with that never gets mentioned. They are in rooms with, and nobody ever gets to know that for life. But not only did you share a record with, you also shared the video and was on an iconic project.
Project. During a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic. I mean, what are the chances? I know that there's no amount of money you can pay to do a song with Beyoncé, you understand? So I was observing the whole process and just watching her work and how she commands people with so much respect and grace, the way that we were treated, which was amazing. So for me, it was, and also because when COVID happened, we had already shot this material, and we thought, oh my gosh, it's never going to come out now, you know? And but when it came out, and we couldn't even leave the country, for example, we couldn't even you can't even do a promo run or PR, you can't even visit anywhere else. You're at home, and being at home with my family, and that being like the only thing I can do is be at home with my son during this time, was also significant because I got to savor it, and I got to absorb it, and I got
enjoy it.
Yes, and I got to see people's reactions on social media. Like, I watched it with family and friends around me. I had people over at home, and we got to share that moment. And it's just, I don't feel that there are things that don't happen for a reason. You know, everything happens for a reason. And the pandemic has been like crippling to most people, but I got an opportunity that has literally changed my whole trajectory. I have fans from Russia now, fans in Brazil, collaborators who want to work with me from Japan. That's you know, amazing. So I don't take that for granted. And I know that waking up grateful every day just gives you more things to be grateful for all the time, because this was a time where everybody struggled. I mean, I was like looking at my team, and I'm like, guys, so must I still pay you now? what? It was hard, it was really, really hard. And
absolutely.
I joke about that, but I know that a lot of people were losing a lot of things during this time. And here was this incredible opportunity, and this lady who was just not only giving us that recognition to the world, but even being in the space with her, she's giving you the kind of acknowledgement and recognition that you don't even get from other artists that are like living with you in SA,
Absolutely.
So I can't forget this year. I can't forget that experience, and I'll forever be grateful. And it actually made me the kind of person who wants to go on other people's sets and really show respect and acknowledgement and admiration, and not raise my voice, not act in anger, but just move in love, which is a lesson. It's different when you're learning this lesson from someone who's operating on the highest level, who doesn't even have to collaborate with you, but she finds inspiration in what you do and in you being yourself. So it's really helped my outlook, especially with working with artists from all over the world, and going, well, I can find inspiration from so many places, and I'm so grateful that I can holler at them and be like, yo, Tenny, I got a song for you, girl.
Tell me, what do you feel? What do you feel when you hear people say that someone like a Beyoncé with what she did is a culture vulture? How do you feel when you hear such statements?
I can't relate because so many people take so many cultures in and absorb them and try to sell them without involving the people who are actually the custodians, so to speak. And we are all custodians of culture. But it's different if you then, if I'm inspired by a Buddhist monk, I can go and collaborate with a Buddhist monk in a way that makes that Buddhist monk happy because I'm inspired by that. It's different if she had just gone and worn her outfits and worn this and did that and took the dance moves and didn't try to do any kind of collaboration, didn't try to showcase Africa in its most beautiful light. Like because of budget. I mean, I would love to shoot a video in an ocean in Ghana. I don't have the money to do that, but if I did, I would. And I don't think it would feel like, Ghanaians would feel like I'm stealing. I mean, I did a song now with Papi Kojo from Ghana, and the outfits they were wearing, I'm like, I want to wear these. I want to also do shoots in these outfits. And he was telling me about the significance and the culture of those outfits and how they celebrate every single Christmas.
That's brilliant.
But now, if I then take that and I go and I do something but if I'm working with Papi Kojo and I can wear the outfits and I can celebrate that and show it in the most beautiful light, I don't think that is a vulture.
Absolutely.
That's not
I agree with you.
It's not like a
completely.
It's not like a scavenger kind of way of doing it. But this is a human being who is inspired by something that she had never explored. And she was sensitive, but also wanted knowledge and information and to uplift this inspiration, this factor that had inspired her, which is Africanism as a whole. And you can't then go and find all the African cultures and and work with all the artists but if there is something that you do that uplifts an entire people, that inspires, that motivates, that teaches, actually, because there are so many teachable moments, and people all over the world are then going out and researching Sarah Batman, the Namibian Imba hairstyles. They are researching Zulu headpieces. You understand? You're not just creating a space where you're saying, oh, I'm just telling you something, but never even letting you know where it's from, what it's about. But you're teaching about something that is so beautiful, which is our cultures, something so reverent. And you're doing it in the most respectful and articulate kind of way. And you're creating a piece of art that is articulated not only in the clearest form, but also in the most aesthetically pleasing way we've ever seen before. I can respect that and I can appreciate that and I can support that.
Absolutely.
I can't relate to it being a theft of any kind.
That's brilliant. Well spoken. And I completely agree with you on everything you said. For someone like you who stumbled on music, coming from poetry, investing that much time and effort and talent in poetry, then coming up onto your third album now, talk to me about even starting to be a poet and how you suddenly found yourself in this music world that's allowed you to birth your third album.
So, like I said, remember I said my grandmother raised me. So my grandmother was very adamant about getting a good education, about reading books. You know, she had a huge bookshelf. You know, she was always encouraging me to just gather information as much as you possibly can about every topic. So I loved reading. And because I loved reading, I then became a child who writes. So in primary school, I was writing already. And I didn't have structure. So it wasn't like, this is an essay, this is a poem, this is a song. I was just writing because I enjoyed expressing myself in words. And then later on, I got to high school and I moved to the city of Durban. Beautiful city that you must visit sometime.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, trust me.
It's gorgeous. So I went to high school in Durban and I learned that there are poetry sessions. There was an arts center that I practically started living in. I even started working there, volunteering there, doing artist development there, everything of mine. I started hosting my own poetry sessions. I met like-minded people who were teaching me more about structure and how to perform poetry as well. That's where I learned to do that at the Bat Center in Durban. And later on, I met guys who were doing house music. So around the same time, house music in Durban was like popping off. It was a jump. Crazy. Like a whole movement had started. And I was there doing poetry. And I met some of the producers, Sobubzin and DJ Clap, who was also in Uhuru. I know you know Uhuru of course. And they were living in Durban, and they said, why don't you try to do some of your poetry on these house beats? And then as soon as I tried that, I enjoyed it so much. I already loved dancing and clubbing and partying. So I was like a soul sister by day and a party animal by night. And this mixture of poetry and house music, it like made me find a way to combine my love for words, for spoken word, with my love for dance. And it just felt like, yo man, this is what I want to do forever. Give me this, you know? Absolutely. And that's how they had deals with Oskido of Kalawa Jasmine. Yeah. They were making music for DJ Zintle. And then they brought me into the studio to do that particular style, which was like very much a mix of a lot of Xhosa vernacular sounds and like hard-hitting house beats. Yeah. And then as soon as that first song worked out, I was like, you know, I'm moving. Yeah, like I want to be here. This is what I want to do, guys. Sign me up. And I was fortunate. I was in the studio every day. I remember I worked with Maporisa a lot when I started out. And
that's an iconic producer as well, man.
Yes.
Iconic producer.
He's still, you know, putting people on now. So he would pick me up from home in his small, tiny little car. And then he would take me home again, maybe at like 3 to 5 in the morning. And I remember my family, I was staying with my family, my aunt, and they thought that this was my boyfriend. And I was like, no, guys, we're on to something big. Listen, we're doing big things here. And one saw that vision. But I'm so glad that it panned out the way it did, because we went on to make songs like Ngoku, Lasha, Midnight Staring, you know, and a couple of piano songs that they've recently released with Scorpion King. So that has been a journey that I've been fortunate, because I've met people like that. So it's people like Maporisa, Pex Africa, DJ Clap, Oskido, Mahuta, many.
Those are big producers.
Yeah, so many producers who like I would just click with, you know. And so that's why I've actually been able to stick around for 9 years, is because I just keep meeting new people. Even now I'm working with people like Mr. Jazik from Jazzy Disciples. I'm working with people who keep moving the culture forward. DJ Somebody, for example, as well. So I'm able to work with those people because I'm always open to finding new ways to explore.
New sounds and new ways to push yourself.
New ways to put words onto music.
That's brilliant. Like I said, the first one was Highly Favored. Second one was Summer Life. That was 2017, 2018.
Yes.
And now 2020, the way I found out about your album coming out were the videos you posted on Instagram where you spoke about your story. I spoke about it on my podcast, on the radio show, where I said you deserve to be applauded and really given a huge level of respect for the honesty, the honesty and the importance of what you spoke about, especially your experiences. We know how bad, domestic abuse, gender-based violence has been in Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, and around the world. But to have somebody in your position with a loudspeaker, use your platform to speak about that. Firstly, how was it deciding that you will share your story in words before you decided to share it in music? What was that experience like?
I think I recorded the songs first, and then it was just a decision of whether to release these particular songs or just go in a different direction, which is like turn up all the way, I think with lockdown as well, I had a lot of time to reflect. I had a lot of time to work on myself, and I had to ask him for a few questions. And one of those was, do I have bad intentions? Am I trying to be evil? Am I trying to just sell records? What is it that I hope to achieve with this? And the thing that kept coming back to me was, and I was talking to people in my circles, the thing that kept coming back to me was, it's not just about you anymore. You're living the kind of life where it is not just about you and how you feel, and that you can't change. It's too late to go back and say, I no longer want my life to be in the public eye. It's too late for that. So first of all, if I'm going to then talk about it, then okay, cool, let's get real about it. Let's really talk about it. And I had to be ready to counter backlash, because the views are different on these topics. The views are different on these topics, and if people do feel like it's a publicity stunt, am I emotionally ready to deal with that kind of attack? Wow. So I had to strengthen myself in prayer, in meditation, exercise, just in things that make me feel good, and it's just acts of self-love, because I had to be ready to say, I've been attacked and I've gone through that, but now am I ready to be attacked again for it, and again and again and again, for as long as I have to. And what came back to me was really, if God can grant me everything that I've ever prayed for, then surely there's a reason why he then continues to give me the voice and the platforms that I have. Because now, surely there's more to it than just nice cars, great holiday destinations, beautiful men. You know what I mean? Surely there's something more. Surely there's a reason why I've gotten through so much and still been able to stand. What can I do with that kind of strength and power? And I felt like I had it within me, and I was ready to impart. And a lot of women, inboxed, DM'd, even other artists, saying, what, I would never. And I'm like, I completely understand. But they were also saying, but I relate 100%. And that for me was the real revelation, is that after that, I then opened myself up to be like, not like an oracle, but like someone people can talk to about things that they've never told anyone about, because they never thought anyone could relate. And so that becomes a new layer for my purpose. It has actually renewed my kind of reason for living. It's like, I understand now that I didn't just succeed for myself. I didn't just win for myself. I didn't just survive for myself. There are individuals, but also groups of people that need me to be strong for them too. And anytime that we can have, public figures get real about these issues.
Yeah.
It's a win, and it's pushing society forward, and it's pushing women empowerment forward. Not
Absolutely.
just talking about it as a general thing, which is what we always do,
Yeah.
but saying when it comes to the reality, this is where we are at. And so I was tired of talking about it as a general problem. I was ready to say, look, let's confront the real issue. And the real issue is that so many of us are going through the most in silence, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Absolutely. Well, that's another brilliant way to express it. Let me be the first from this side to say thank you for sharing that story, for empowering and uplifting so many other female voices, particularly in Africa, where we understand how difficult life can be for a lot of our, our mothers, our sisters, daughters. Yeah. So we need to keep on talking about it, and we appreciate people like yourself who step up and really share these very, very sensitive stories. Now, what about you as a mother? I know you got a son now. I know how women are about their sons. That's the most important thing in the world now, but how does being a mother, how does it change your perspective as a musician, affect your performance, your creative spirit? What does the Little Prince add to Busiswa of now?
That's a loaded question, because I think, I've definitely changed a lot. I think the one thing is that I just like to live honestly and be honest, because I'm trying to raise a son who is kind, who is generous, who loves and respects women and nature and animals, who wants to change the world for the better. So I have to then become that person so that he can see from my actions. So I do get concerned about being a great role model, but I'm also, at a time in my life, he arrived when I was just like, I need to have fun. I need to enjoy myself more. I need to let go. So, I'm exercising more, trying to get, to be an involved mother. I realize I'm going to have to go to like sports games and things like that. Yeah. So I want to be fully present for that. Yeah. But he's a strong boy. He's got like 10 times more energy than me. He wakes me up every morning like, hi, are you fine? I'm fine. Are you fine? And I can't have a bad day, because it can be a bad few minutes. It can be a bad couple of hours, but because of his presence in my life, I can't have a bad day. Absolutely. And so I'm just grateful for that, and I'm grateful I'm able to provide through my performance. I'm able to live my dreams and still be the mother of my dreams,
Absolutely.
And I think it's just life's greatest blessing. I've never known a love so strong. I see him imitating me so much as well. So I'm thinking, maybe I'll do like a kids EP with him, because if I'm in studio, he also wants to be in studio saying something, and he's not making sentences yet. So he'll just be like, they're like, and I'll be like, yes, boy. Okay, now it's my turn. Step aside. But he's also, you can hear his voice on one of the songs on the album. Called Bayeke, because he was there and he just wouldn't shut up. So I was just like, leave him, guys. Let's leave him in. Let's get him some royalties. But I hope to do more of that as well, because I do enjoy having, like just capturing those moments of his upbringing, where I can say to him, do you even know what you think you were saying here? I think that's special. I can share that with him.
That's brilliant. And it's nice that you're putting him on the royalties really early. We need to start changing these things for our kids, man. Put him on the money early. Put him on it. Now, finally, this album, I listened to it when I was driving, and, it had everything in it. It had, the energetic kind of, the Afro house, the piano, those vibes. And he also had, he gave me memories of some of the most iconic South African greats that I listened to growing up. Maybe it was some of your traditional language in there. It just had a mixture of everything. You collaborated, you worked with the likes of DJ Tunes or Skido Maporisa. The list goes on. Now, for a fan that doesn't even listen to music from South Africa, from Busiswa's music or Amapiano or Afro House or anything, how would you sell this incredible body of work to that fan of music?
I would say, because my creative process was so organic and I was so musically inclined and so open to exploring with my voice. When you play the song, when you press play, if there's one thing I can guarantee is that 45 minutes later, when it's done, you will be happier than you were when you pressed play to start it, because the melodies are so intrinsic. The flows, you don't even have to understand the language to understand the love language in this music, and the heart that was put into it, and the effort that was put into making it a vocally superior album. And so if you want to prove me wrong, please try. Press play and see what you feel like by the end of that album. And if you don't feel happier, uplifted, motivated, we'll send you translations later, but just listen for now. That's all you gotta do.
One thing I'll tell them is once you press play, you're not going to stop that album until the album finishes. And that's one of the a few albums that I can say that I've received in 2020 that I listened from the top to the bottom, just because of the selection of sounds. Everything was just perfect. And congratulations to yourself, your team,
Thank you,
and everybody that worked on that masterpiece. We hopefully, once this lockdown comes down, you'll be able to come into the UK and enjoy promoting. Yeah,
definitely. I'm coming through, definitely.
Finally, I just wanted to pick up your brain on this. Amapiano has become one of the biggest sounds in Africa now.
Yeah.
Nigeria is playing. We're on this beat. What are your thoughts about the fact that once a house sound or Amapiano sound jumps out from South Africa, Nigeria carries it and we run away with this sound?
Yes. We keep talking about that with some friends, and I'm like, man, I just hope that the South African pioneers and the South African artists will really get the international recognition for it. I also do know, though, that once you do something great and it works, after it's out, it's out. Anybody can take it and run with it, and that's a good thing. But I'm hoping that my South African counterparts and colleagues are going to stamp their names and their legacies and their pioneering spirits into this, because I always say there's no country in Africa that pioneers music as quickly as South Africans do. I mean, Goma was the thing, now Afro House, now Afro Pop, now Kwaito, now. Like, we move so quickly with genres and pioneering sounds that I hope that when we get international recognition for it, it's really the people who deserve to get that international recognition. And not to say Nigerian artists won't deserve to. It's beautiful to see them, jump on our sound and create incredible. Nigerians with melodies are unmatched. You cannot make as many melodies as a Nigerian artist, and so I hope that South Africans will really be open to traveling the entire continent and also coming out into the world to claim their space and to claim their ownership and their in this movement, because it's becoming so big so quickly. We're gonna get Drake on it just now, because you know how he
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? Yeah, if we get a Grammy for a Amapiano project, I hope it's going to be a South African Amapiano project. Anything can happen now in the world. So I just hope that South African pioneers who pioneered that movement and who continue to move it forward are really going to get that kind of recognition. But other than that, it's a beautiful thing to see. It's always nice when a sound transcends borders, because that means that we will, artists are able to travel the entire continent. We're able to exchange. We're able to collaborate, because I know that if I collaborate with Niniola on a piano song, it works in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Tanzania. You understand? I can do the same with Rayvani. I can travel to Tanzania, and we can be a more united Africa through music. Absolutely. And that is positive, and that is good, and that is to be encouraged. So
Absolutely.
I hope that we just take it all the way to the top.
That's brilliant. No, we don't want it to be the one like will.i.am did for DJ Lags. And come on, man. That was bad, though. You know, that was bad. Yeah.
It was.
So,
you know what? I'm just glad we live in a world where people like, DJ Leg can speak up and be heard. And things like that won't go unnoticed anymore, because as much as, what Beyoncé did as well, is like, it is so easy to contact the original. We are all on social media. We all have a presence internationally. We all have, you can reach out to us directly. You don't have to take the sound and run with it and pretend that, you just came up with something when you were inspired clearly by something else.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, the incredible Busiswa, all the way from South Africa, for joining us here. I'd love you to do one thing. If you just introduce yourself, Busiswa, and this is Adesope Live. And you could add a little bit of your local language to it, man, because I love the way that sounds.
Okay, but before I do that, I just also want to say, thank you for your part in music, moving music forward. You play a very important role. You're one of the people that even before I met you, I could see literally every week that you are playing my music, but you're not just playing the music and, being passive about it. You're actively and aggressively promoting and pushing South African music to greater heights. I appreciate that to no end, and it was such a pleasure to have the first interview with you, the first of many. Hopefully the next one is after I win my Grammy and stuff.
Absolutely.
But we appreciate your part so much.
Thank you.
And appreciate the ways that you play your part and use your platform to promote African music. And this is Busiswa, aka Her Majesty the Queen, aka Midnight Steering, aka Usisi Onomboya, Kota engena kwi ones and twos, kuti kuloli kuza, and kuti who? And we're doing this for the culture all the way from South Africa. African girls, them always do the best things. I love you. I thank you for supporting my music. And this is Adesope Live.
Dig it, bang it, tango makina. Super cut, bantu ya spinna. Yas nansi no bajena wenza.